Alright, so when we talk about empty hand striking in Kali, we're talking about a couple of moves, and there's quite a variety of them. More so what they are is they're influenced from the weapons such as the knife, sometimes of the sword, but because it's close quarters you're going to see a lot of knife resemblance or grappling resemblances. And because it's a weapon-oriented art, we kind of follow the same principles. So when we strike, a lot of the motions that we do are meant to flow off of each other, and it's also meant to destruct. Whenever I attack, I'm not just looking to parry, and get into a grapple position. I'm beating his offense with my own offense. And there's tons of ways we can show this. The first way we're going to show this, we're going to work off of a jab cross. Okay, what I'm going to do is called the parry or the destruct. So we can do this in many ways. We can do it off of the lead hand, we can do it off the rear hand. Just for reference, we're going to put it in a combination of a jab cross. So slowly the jab comes to me, I'm going to parry this hand down here, set up a line for the cross. When the cross comes here, instead of parrying it down, I'm going to destruct it by guiding it into my elbow. Okay, so I want my elbow to be nice and sturdy so that the impact, the crash, causes the knuckles to break. So a little bit faster we go, 1, 2, and I'm looking to break that right into my flow. It's not so much of a definitive strike that ends here. This is meant to be my setup for my retaliation or my offense. Okay, so in a sense what I'm doing, just like we would normally do a knife or a stick, is essentially disarming him by defanging his hand. And because he has no weapon, the closest thing I can defang is either his hands, it could be his elbows, or potentially shoulder. From the other side, we're doing it slowly. We parry that jabbing hand so that we set up this line right here. This, I want it to be as telegraphed as possible. Even though I can't really dictate that as much as I'd want to, I want to sort of influence it to come in this narrow line so that I can essentially guide it, because I know in reference what he's striking, which is going to be my face. So when the jab cross comes here, I kind of pull a little bit so that I kind of orient this to come over the top. Okay? So we go 1, 2, and we break over there. Okay, so playing off of that jab cross, now let's get into the variety or the types of strikes that I can do or I can inflict on my partner. Because it's not just elbows here. Literally what you can do, you can pretty much strike with anything. You can go open hand, you can hit with your palms, you can use the knife of our hand, we can use our forearm, very nice and strong, use our wrist to hack away. We can do back fist, hammer fist. Majority of the time what you want to look for is either when you break or you destruct, you're looking for an opening or you're looking for a setup. Okay? So you see a lot of times when we train with weapons, there's always a follow-up. There's always more than one strike or block. Whatever the technique is, it's not just kind of a one-hit wonder. And that's the same concept when it comes to empty hand striking. So let's work off of that jab cross again. I'm going to destruct it the same way I did earlier. This time what I'm going to do, because I'm parrying it at the same time, once I strike, I'm going to bring my hand over, and I'm going to hammer fist. I'm going to bring that right across the jaw. Depending on how close I am, I can bring it down to the neck. Really what I want to do is disorient to set up my next strike. Okay? I can also, off of the jab cross, once I destruct this, I can hack away with my hand here. And usually when the hand is open, that's used to grab or that's used to manipulate into another strike. Alright, so we'll touch base on the striking variety a little later on in the video. One question you might be wondering right now, because we are a counter-offensive art, you're probably wondering, is there any defense? Because unlike the weapons, such as the knife or the stick, there's not much consequence being on the defensive end, because you as a human being should be able to absorb a little more as long as they're fighting bare hands, they don't have brass knuckles or any sort of additional weaponry. So there's something that we do that we call shielding. Although shielding can be seen as a defensive way to absorb a technique, it's also used in a counter-offensive manner, and we'll break it down very slowly. We have an inside and an outside shield. We'll demonstrate it off of the hook. As the hook comes to my head, what I'm looking to do is shield. So I'm creating this tight triangular frame over my ear, nice and tight so there's no shaking around, and I'm trying to absorb this strike. That's how it would be traditionally, but now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to feed it to my elbow, so my elbow is going to come up as much as it can to attack the brachial and the ulnar nerve, the same way I would in the gunting. Okay, so as I do that, I might get a hit very strong, I might get a hit very swiftly, or I might just get the shield. And that's not something I can control, but if there is an opportunity for me to add some casualty, then I will. So this is what we call an inside shield because I'm positioned on the inside, or we prefer to a left hand shield because I'm using my left arm. We can also do it with our right hand, and we can do it on the inside or the outside. So if we work off of the cross, we can use this counter offensively. When we parry, we feed it down to the shield, and I hit up on the outside, and then I maintain the frame in case there's any follow-ups. Now I can't stay here for too long because it kind of takes away my line of sight, but what this can do is wrap into another technique depending on what I want. So here's a little drill that you can do at home with a partner. Basing off of the shielding concept, we're going to go a little bit of counter-offensive as we flow along. So your partner's going to give you a cross and a hook. You can practice it on both the right side and the left side. So this is how it goes. We're going to stand over here. The cross is going to come. I go outside shield here. This goes into a grapple. I'm going to grab the arm. I'm going to come over top, grab an elbow. From this position, they're going to throw the hook. I'm going to do shield again. So I'm doing a right-hand shield, but this time I'm on the inside. I'm going to hack at the neck and feed it into my elbow. Okay, from the other side, it's going to look like this. We go off the cross, we go on the outside. We grab, we attack to the center. From this position, we shield on the inside, same hand, hack, pass it into your elbow. So the key concepts in doing the elbow flow drill is not so much on the speed, it's more so on the ability to act offensively and counter-offensively together. Not to get lost into the shield and absorbing. If you absorb, you might be able to do it once, maybe twice, but definitely by the third or fourth time you're going to get tired, you're going to be at your pain threshold, and it's going to hurt. So you want to act more as an offensive attack than a defensive shield. That way you're going to stay inside your offensive flow that you already know from weapons, and it's going to keep you safe and in rhythm. Alright, so the last part of empty hand striking in FMA is actually heavily influenced from Western boxing. And by that I mean your jabs, your crosses, your hooks, and your uppercuts. Now it's not to say that your offensive flow has to be black and white where it's FMA striking, Western boxing, back to FMA striking. You can use it as a setup, you can intertwine it as much as you want, it really just depends on you. We're going to give you guys a couple of ways how to train it in some very simple combinations that include your shielding as well as your Western boxing. So combo number one. We're going to be doing an outside shield. I'm going to pass it off here. The pad work here as my partner is holding it. I'm going to come down with a hammer fist. I'm going to go into a hook. I'm going to go into a cross. And I'm going to go into an uppercut. Okay, and as I do this, my preference. I can be open hand slapping. I can go straight boxing and use my fist. It's really, again, up to your preference. Okay, so from the other side, it's going to look like this. We go from the outside shield. We hammer here. And we go 3, 2, 5. Okay, so combo number two, we're going to be doing an inside shield, and we're going to stick with the same offensive combination from the 3 to the 2 to the 5, just to keep it very, very similar so that you can practice one after the other as you and your partner please. So combo number two. This time my partner's going to give me a hook. I'm going to do an inside shield. Same thing, I'm going to hack down. I'm going to go hook, cross, uppercut. Okay, from the other side, I'll look like this. Shield's nice and firm, hack. Combination 3, 2, 5. Alright, so it's the same concept in any martial art that you practice. Being able to have an organized manner of practicing allows you to get the most reps in without having to stop, reset, and do it again. Therefore, you're going to have much more training in the shortest amount of time possible. Just remember that when you're training, you always take your time, make sure you understand the technique. Make sure that you're well equipped, so if you want to put some hand wraps on, you can even do it with boxing gloves, MMA gloves, whatever makes you feel more comfortable. And that way, you're going to preserve yourself and still get your training in. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's video. If you haven't already, give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and until next time, we'll catch you guys then.